Hello, hello. Welcome to Dilyn's Dive Bar. I'm your host, Randy, aka Elaine Dilyn, and tonight we are talking about counting your coins. We're talking about financial literacy and responsibility. And we have a very special guest in the dive bar who's going to talk to us about that. And I'll introduce you to him in a few seconds. So, before we get started, our dive bar is about conversations, community, and cocktails. So you know that we're definitely going to have some drinks for you tonight. So I hope you were on the page, you grabbed your favorite bourbon and your bitters so you can make your old fashions with us. So tonight, we're going to dive right into our quick dip topic. So our quick dip topic is daughters need daddies too. So I know a lot of men say they want to step up and they want to be a good example for their sons. And I think that's amazing. And yes, our boys need that. They need that example. But your daughters need dads too. You're going to be an example for your son on how to be a man, but you're going to be an example for your daughter on how to identify one. So I must say, as a self-proclaimed biggest daddy girl on the planet, I learned what I needed to learn about what a real man is, what he looks like, what he does, how he treats people from my dad. My dad and I hung out all the time. So one thing I learned was quality time. Real men spend quality time with their families. I can remember him picking us up in the summertime, taking us to the park, and we would literally spend all day there. He would have games, we would have volleyballs, and we would do on the volleyball net. We had food for days. We played cards, we played checkers. He always won. And it was never a moment where we were thinking, man, we want to go home. We had so much fun with him. I learned that real men apologize to people when they're wrong because my father apologized to me. Real men say, I love you and show affection because my dad did that for me. And my dad also taught me how to be a lady around God. So, as much as I love my mom, and she definitely taught me how to be a lady, I learned a couple of things from my father as well in that aspect. So, I understand men want to step up for their sons, but just remember, daughters need daddies too. So don't forget that your relationship with her is just as important for shaping her and being the woman that she's going to turn into being as much as it is for your son. So keep that in mind when you're hanging out with your daughter that she needs her dad too. So that is our quick tip for today, just my personal opinion. We're also going to do our restaurant shout out to the original hot dog factory. So I recently went there and it was absolutely amazing. Y'all, they have every kind of hot dog you can think of. Think of a hot dog, they have it. The New York style, the Chicago style, the Detroit style. They have so many. Then they have the ATL, which is a fried hot dog. Everything. The fries are cut there and fried there fresh. You can do sweet potato fries. So I definitely want to shout out the original hot dog factory, and their IG is the original hot dog factory. They're in several locations around the country. Definitely try the one here. So that's our restaurant shout out and our quick dip. So we're going to get a little bit into our conversation tonight. The deep dive topic is financial literacy. And I asked you guys a poll question this week. Did you get an allowance as a kid? And a whole lot of you answered, hell no. Y'all did not get an allowance. And I think that is absolutely hilarious. So I myself, I did not get one either. I was always told I was allowed to live in the house. I was allowed to use the lights. I was allowed to eat the food. That was my allowance. So I definitely didn't want to see one because I used to watch TV all the time. And I would see the kids on TV talk about allowance. It's Friday. They had a handout, get an allowance. And I'm like, we have got to figure out a way to make this happen. And our parents were not hearing it. So definitely wish that was the case, but a lot of y'all said no. And I want to know, would you give your kid an allowance now? I look at it now and I think it is a really good tool for teaching kids how about money, how to save money up for the things that they want, how not to spend frivolously, that kind of thing. So that's definitely a lesson I think that I missed as a kid because I didn't have the allowance. I used to watch Full House and DJ would always say, Dad, can I get this big ticket item? And he would say, what happened to your allowance? And she would say, I spent it at the mall. And he would say, well, maybe you should have saved your money. So DJ then knew that maybe if she wanted to get that really nice sweater or those really nice sneakers, maybe she needed to save her money. So it was a very good lesson in finances that I think some parents miss out on because they didn't want to do the allowance. So that's just me. Y'all put in the comments if you got an allowance, if you will give your kids an allowance. So while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest for this evening. His name is Dr. Brian Keith Hodges, and he is a pastor. He is an entrepreneur. He is a professor. And he, as far as I'm concerned, is the go-to person for finances. And I have listened to him do lectures on finances and organization and money. And it's one of those things that really makes you go, maybe I haven't been doing this right. So I could not think of a better person to introduce this topic to the dive bar than this gentleman here. So, Dr. Brian Hodges, come on up. All right, so welcome to the dive bar, sir. Looking all 50. You like a pastor, don't you? Like you're going to say a scripture. All right. So let's introduce you to the dive bar audience. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Brian Keith Hodges, born and raised in Detroit, been in Atlanta 32 years. I have 3 adult children, 4 grandsons. I am a guy passionate about golf and life.
Okay, golf. So what are some of the best golf courses you've been
on? I've played Pebble Beach.
Okay.
I played Bandon Dunes. I played French Lick. These are all the top 100 public courses in the country. Yes, so I printed out a list of 2019 of the top 100 public courses, and I'm going to work my way.
So how did you get into golf?
27 years ago, one of the trustees in our church gave me golf clubs and said, I dare you to do it.
Oh.
And I went for the dare. And I do. In high school, I played football, basketball, baseball, tennis, and as I got a little older, I couldn't do it anymore.
No more interceptions.
But golf is still my thing.
Okay, that's different. So it wasn't the Tiger Woods phenomenon that got you into.
It was right. It was right when Tiger started. So it just worked out well. So he introduced it to me, and Tiger kept me.
I like it.
He's still my favorite. He's still my favorite golf ever.
So started on a dare. Okay. I like it. So, welcome to the dive bar. We'll get a little bit more into our topic, but all of our guests, they get to choose their own cocktail. This distinguished gentleman chose the old fashioned, which is one of my personal favorites, but I must admit, it wasn't until I became a bartender. I had never heard of it. So, I went to bartending school and they introduced it to us, and I was like, I'm going to try it.
Wow.
So I know for those of you who don't know, with the old fashioned, the whiskey is the star of the drink. So I chose personal favorite, Woodford Reserve. It is a bourbon. I couldn't think of any other whiskey that we should put in there. So we are going to get started. So you have your glass here. Okay. Now in the dive bar, you make your drink. Oh, yes. So I make mine, you make yours. So you're going to learn how to make your very own.
Thank you so much.
Old fashioned. So for those of you who don't know, if you watch the page, I did put up what goes into an old fashioned. So we have our bourbon whiskey here, and we have your choice of bitters. So bitters actually started off as medicine, y'all. It was created by a pharmacist, and it alleviates stuff like headaches, cramps, bloating, all that good stuff. And then the bartending world decided, you know what? It has the alcohol content and flavors and aromatics. We're going to figure out a way to use it. And the old fashioned is one of the ways.
Wow.
So we have the typical flavors here. We have our orange and cherry, which you would probably find at your local bar. And then we have the old fashioned aromatic. So it's all about whichever you choose. Right? There you go. So what we're going to do is we have our old fashioned glasses here. And we're going to drop an orange right inside there. And then we are going to, extra orange. And then we're going to do a cherry, and I'm going to take my stuff.
You just put the rest of those.
Okay, you want to take all the cherries? So we just doubling up on oranges and packing in the cherries. Okay. Now, I was a little disappointed, y'all, because I was looking for sugar cubes. I was trying to be fancy, and nobody makes sugar cubes anymore. I was a little annoyed. However, it's a teaspoon of sugar. For those of you who don't know, those little coffee packets that we put in our coffee, it's a teaspoon. So we're going to put that right over our orange and our cherry.
Love it. Love it.
All right. That's the only sweetness to this drink. So please don't think this is about to be a sweet drink. It's not. So those of you that like sugar in a bottle, this ain't you.
This is not.
All right. So you pick your bitters. I'm gonna take orange. Now this comes out like hot sauce, y'all. So you just do however many dashes make you smile. I'm a bitters kind of person, so I'm gonna kind of bounce mine in there. All right. So if you watched us last week, we did a little muddling. So we're gonna muddle the orange and the cherry. Now we're using real granulated sugar, y'all, because this is going to macerate our orange and our cherry. This is breaking down the orange and the cherry and releasing all those flavors. And it's serrated, so it's gonna break it down a lot faster. Now bitters are also aromatic, so this actually smells amazing. So it all just depends on what you like. You can find all kinds of bitter flavors. There's lemon, there's lime, there's rhubarb. There's my personal favorite, black walnut.
I don't know who created rhubarb, but I wish they would. That's it.
I actually like the rhubarb. I put it in margarita on margaritas.
Yeah, maybe not.
So clearly he's not a rhubarb person.
Clearly.
So I did the black walnut in like my white hot chocolate over the Christmas season.
Nice.
So you can put bitters in absolutely anything. It's your creativity at this point. All right. So you want to muddle. Now last week y'all didn't get to see because we had like copper mugs. Now you can see all that we put in there. It's so good. All right. So for you, sir, you're going to use what we call a jigger. This is a measuring tool.
Jigger.
Now you can choose yours, 1, 2, or 3 ounces. You make your drink. You put that on in there. All the way to the top of the screen. And drop that in. All right. Now, I'm a bartender. I'm grown. So I make mine like a bartender.
What?
No, you ain't trying to test my gift to you, my boy. Please believe it. All right. So what we have here is our whiskey, and it is now infusing with all of these flavors that we just muddled and the aromatic. It is absolutely amazing, y'all. So I'm telling y'all now, this is not for the weak. So all my little cute little featherweights, this is not your drink. We're gonna have to find you something else, and that's okay. Now, you want a little bit of ice in yours? Or you want
No.
No ice?
Big boy.
Okay, big boy.
Big boy.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna put a little bit chill, man. Chill it out just a little.
Let's chill. Make it settle down.
Hey, that's one of my favorite songs. It's still one of my favorite songs. All right, so here is some financial responsibility, y'all. All right, here we go. Y'all, this is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So I hope you made yours. If you didn't make an old fashioned, put in the comments what drink you're sipping on tonight in the dive bar. But we are definitely doing this old fashioned. This is really good. So while we're doing this, let's talk. So when I thought of this topic, you were definitely the first person that I thought of. So talk to us about your journey into understanding finances better.
That's a really, really good intro question. So let me just say it to you very plainly. Broke. One word. I know what it's like to not have. I know what it's like to not be able to meet your obligations. I know what it's like to struggle financially. I know what it's like to look at 2 babies in car seats in the back and you wonder if you can provide for them just a meal. I know what it's like. And so my first real reckoning was seeing that I was unfit as a leader and a father to provide for my family. And I started working through the process. Let me be very clear. Working through the process doesn't change overnight.
Right.
And so you will have to keep working the steps. You'll keep working the steps. You'll hustle. You'll think, you'll plan, you'll strategize. You'll create good boundaries, good stops. You'll drill down some expectations so that you can get a good foundation.
Okay.
That took me 7 years. Yes, it took me 7 years. 7 years, and I was not wasteful. 7 years, and I wouldn't so much as have a drink. Nothing. Because I needed to concentrate all of my finances toward taking care of our minimum basic expectations. You can't have a 6-pack if you got to pay rent.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't have Jordans if you got to pay life. and you got babies.
Right.
You got responsibilities. So I had to learn how to budget very quickly. Now, mind you, there is no advent of the internet, so I'm still having to read. There's no glutton saturation where you can go on the internet and pull it up just like this. No. So I had to learn how to work through the cycle of reading, studying, and learning. It was the best classroom I'd ever been in. It's called a classroom of hard knocks. It was the best one because it helped me create habits, patterns, boundaries, expectations, and consciousness that stuck with me for 32 years.
Okay. Now you've written books on finance.
I did. I wrote a book called Basic Money Matters. And the book is really about giving people who are like me a foundation. You read this book and you got the tips.
Okay. Give us one of your tips.
And one of my tips is create a budget. Create a budget before you create a life. Right? Most people that will create a budget before they create a life probably wouldn't buy a car. They never finance a car.
Right.
They pay for cash.
Okay.
And they buy $1,000 or $2,000 or $1,500 car. They didn't care what it looked like as long as it was mechanically sound, and they would drive it and drive it and drive it. And they would not accumulate the debt. Accumulating with debt, especially with revolving debt like a car payment for 60, 48, 60, or 72 months or more, is going to put you in the hole. Because you're investing in a depreciable asset that won't be worth what you put into it. And you can't get a return on it. Really, a car helps you get from point A to point B. It is not a status. The real status symbol is debt freedom.
Talk to us about the depreciator.
The issue with depreciation is anything that doesn't appreciate, that depreciates, is a waste of money. Vehicles, clothes. I'll give you an example. I was moving in 21. I had 4 tubs of clothes that I never wore. I get nothing from them. I gave one to my friends, and I committed that I would never do it. When you are at a place of financial liberation and freedom, you do have options to buy and do more things. So I wasn't putting it on credit cards, and I wasn't charging, and I wasn't robbing Peter to pay Paul. However, I had accumulated so much stuff. One time I had 110 pairs of shoes. 110. I wore 6. I wore 6 pairs of shoes.
110 you were there.
So I gave them all away. Came to guys in the church and just committed that I wouldn't do it again. And I wasn't breaking my budget, and I wasn't in debt. So it wasn't like I had $9,000 or $10,000 of credit card debt and all of this stuff. I had none of that. I was responsible and irresponsible at the same time. I was present and absent at the same time.
You know we want to talk about that. All right. So we're going to go on a quick break, and then we're going to come back and dive a little bit more into that. That's our deep dive topic for tonight, guys, is financial responsibility. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, because we definitely talk about financial. So guys, give us a second. We'll be coming right back to the dive bar.
When it's time to celebrate a milestone, do it in style. Posh Event Center can design a party to turn 40, 50, 60, and beyond with a theme or other unique event decor.
I missed the middle number by 1 digit.
Oh, my sister said it's 7. So we're back, and he was just telling us that he was this close, y'all, to blessing the dive bar with some lottery money. That's what he was telling. This story, he was about to bless us, and ooh, we were so close, y'all. So for those of you who are just joining us, this is Dr. Brian Keith Hodges, and I am Elaine Dilyn, your host, and we are talking about financial responsibility and literacy. So you told us the story about these 110 pair of shoes, and he only wore 6.
Right.
So I am that person. I am not a shoe person. I am a purse and sunglasses person.
Gotcha.
So that's my weakness. So I literally, like, for 6 months went and lived with Jared in California.
Nice.
And of course, I thought I was going to stay, but I hated it, y'all. I hated it. So I was like, let me go back home. And I'm home now trying to put my stuff up. And all I can think is, I don't have no room for all these purses. And I keep buying them, y'all. Like, I can't help it. It's like I see them, and especially like where I shop, if you see one you like, you must grab it because it's not going to be there. So I'm always like, well, I work hard. I deserve this. I should treat myself. Now, I don't break my piggy bank. I mean, I'm willing to, but I don't. But that is my weakness. My weakness is purses. So y'all drop in the comments what your weaknesses are. His was shoes.
Keep them playing.
What are you willing to spend your last on?
Keep it clean.
Yeah. So I know some people eating out is a huge thing. I think it was 1 year I told myself I would not eat out as much, and I put myself on a budget of $25 a week. And I broke it every week. When I say every week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I can cook. And I like to cook. But I'll be like, I'm sleepy. I don't want to do it. So how do we keep the things that we like, but still be financially responsible?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you 3 things that'll help you. Number 1, boundaries, expectations, and making sure you have evaluation. Boundaries keep us safe. Expectations keep us satisfied. Evaluations tell us the kind of job. When it comes to a budget, make sure you have the boundaries, right? So there's nothing wrong with you having purses.
Right. Instead
of buying purses regularly, say I can buy 1 purse every quarter.
Okay.
And I'll reward myself with a purse if I save this much, or if I pay off this bill, or if I eliminate this debt and close it. And I'll reward myself with a purse. If I get to the end of the quarter and I've not done that, then I can't have that purse. Always create things that help you grow your consciousness toward financial literacy. So I always start with boundaries, expectations, and evaluations. Now, hop on evaluations because most of the times you never know how good you're doing because you never evaluate. The more you evaluate, the more you know how good you're doing. And that's the thing that did it for me. Excuse me. I started evaluating debts, and I started by paying little debts off. You won't believe this. I had a collection on my credit report for $35. Just being irresponsible. I paid that $35 off. I was so happy that I got the letter saying it was paid off. But the next one was like $200, paid it off. But the next one was like $600, paid it off. Called one of the cars that got repossessed, one of the creditors. And the lady said, if you will settle today, Mr. Hodges, we'll settle with you for 30 cents on the dollar. It went from 5,800 to 13.
Wow.
I had it. I paid it. The momentum was so big, I forgot to reward. So I never bought in. All the things I said I was going to reward myself, I never did any of them. I was so stoked on paying the debts off. And I did get a little discouraged here and there where I had 3 or 4 months and the debt was so big. I was working to pay it off and it wasn't getting paid off like the little ones. But the momentum is the thing that helped me, right? And so the consciousness piece is the biggest piece. Consciousness piece is 2 word parts in Latin to make 1 word. Con and science knowledge, right? Until we get the knowledge, we will never function with our finances. The knowledge. You gotta educate yourself financially. If not, you make the same mistakes over and over. You gotta create the boundaries so that you don't create those issues again and again. Habits don't go anywhere. Habits are who we are without thinking. Right? And so 60% of the people who win the lottery end up in either bankruptcy court, tax court, or end up broke. Because if your habits are the same, getting more money just exacerbates the habits that you already have. So you have to create those things.
Okay, I like that. So how do we, so let's say with the reward system. So how do we do a reward that ends up paying us back? Not just buying a purse, but maybe putting into an investment So instead of the money that I would spend on a purse, I could put that money in something that'll give me a dividend later.
Absolutely.
What are tools that we can do that with that'll give us a dividend later?
Something you can do like right now, like literally while you're watching this, you can do. For example, you can download an app for a particular investment software.
Okay.
Right? So you can invest in mutual funds, you can invest in ETFs, you name it.
What's the ETF?
Electronic trading.
Okay.
Well, stop. Right? You can invest in those right here, right now. You can say, you know what? I'm going to set up a mutual fund, a small cap mutual fund, or a large cap mutual fund, international, domestic, you name it, right? And you go through, you just read these. You get everything I just named. You'll have information on it at your fingertips. You'll understand what they are. So you know what? Instead of buying a purse, my average cost of a purse is $250. At the end of every quarter, I'm going to put $250 in this mutual fund. Okay. And I'm going to leave it and not touch it. Market go up, market go down, it'll stay in there. I won't take it out. Right? Here's what we learned about the market. Over the course of 20 years, the market is going to be about 12 to 15%. That's just smart money. Okay. Right? Remember what Benjamin Franklin said. The greatest miracle is the miracle of compound interest. Compound interest. That's right. So whatever money you put in this month, all the money that it makes, it's going to grow by that same rate and that same variable every single month. Because dividends get reinvested. You don't take the dividends out. They get reinvested. Right? So let's say you put in $250 at a 5% rate of return. Let's just say 5%. Right? When you get ready to put that other 250 in, it's got 250 this month, 250 this month, 250 this month, and this month, plus the 5% on each one of those every single month. Right? Okay. So 250 plus 5% is not going to be 250 plus 5%. Now that 5% is going to be 250 plus 5% plus 5 more percent. And it's going to keep doing that. Right? And the next time you put money in, it's going to keep going. The compound interest is going to be ridiculously great because it's going to help your money grow faster.
So the apps that you mentioned, they're user friendly.
Absolutely.
So a novice can basically get on the app and understand what they're doing, and I feel like
a 10-year-old can do it.
A 10-year-old can do it.
A 10-year-old can do it.
Because I think that's what scares a lot of people away from investing, is because they're not sure how to understand what constitutes a good investment or a risky investment, a safe investment, and so they just kind of shy away from it because if you're not, educated about it, you hear certain words, the market dropped 3 points, and in our minds, we're like, wait a minute. So are we like, we bottomed out? What does that mean? So what are some of the words we should look for? So when we're looking at investment, yes, this is good. No, this is bad.
Remember that we live in an age of glut and saturation. Everything you want to know is on the fingertips. So become a researcher. Okay. Yeah, the best advice I can give everybody is watch it. Become a researcher. Want it bad enough that you research. Want it bad enough that you ask the question. What are the best stocks? What are the best mutual funds? What are the best categories of mutual funds? What are the best investments to make if you have $100, $200, $50? What do you need to do if you want to retire in 30 years with $1 million? All of these are questions you can put in. You get a ton of information. Vet your information. Okay. Right? Another quick way to do it is get a financial advisor. Financial advisors are everywhere, and their goal is to help people make money because when you make money, they make money. Right? I like doing it on my own. I'm sorry. This is a true story. I started college, and when I started college, they sent you a catalog. I wanted to graduate at a certain time. So I chose my classes based on what was on the catalog. These classes you have to complete to graduate, I chose those classes and I graduated. People are still freaked out when I tell them I never sat with an advisor. Oh. I've never sat with an academic advisor. Ever.
Mine, you need
I have 4 earned degrees. I've not sat with one. Really? The catalog is your contract. So right down the catalog. Bam, 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 bam. And I did graduate with one class over or one class over. Yeah. I've always been the kind of person that loves simple. Okay. And as soon as I find the simple thing, I create a strategy and I milk it. Right? That's what I do with the same information. We want people to get this information. So challenge them to start researching. Think through it. Start asking questions. Research. Right? Some people will go and say, absolutely need a financial advisor. Other people go meet a financial advisor. This is a really nice person, but I believe that. Okay. I can do this on my own. Right? I've been in real estate for 23 years. I did it on my own. I learned. I asked questions. I did have failures. Right. But I did it on my own. And it's been an amazing encounter.
Okay.
Amazing.
Okay. So come on, guys, put your questions in the comments because we have a guru here. At least I think he's a guru, and since it's my bar, he ain't even arguing me. So put your questions in the comments so you can get those questions answered because these are my questions. Just saying. So put your questions in the comments so you can draw from this well of knowledge that we have going on here. So, what are some of the ones that you've invested in that you were like, maybe no, I'm not going to invest in that again? And what is one that was like the best investment that you made?
Let me answer that question differently. Find out what works for you.
Okay.
That's the best thing because you'll become. For me, I would not put all of my money in the market. I put it in real estate.
Okay.
Because I know it. I also know buy and sell.
Okay.
I can buy and sell. So I had this life of things that I like. So I wanted a boat. I didn't want to take it from my budget because I know what struggle is like. So you can have a boat, but you just take it. I just started selling things. I found a printer. At the time, I think it was a Lexmark printer. I found it. And I sold it. I bought it for $100. I sold it for $6. I know that's what I said.
What?
So I'm looking at businesses that are going out of business. Ran into one. They had 36 of these. I paid $100.
And turned around and sold it for $600. And that's how you got a boat.
That's how I got a motorcycle.
We have a question.
All right, well, tell us the question. What we got?
All right, question coming from Miss Deonza Heath. She says, "Do credit unions have financial advisors, or should I try another source like Fidelity, etc.?"
It's a really good question. You could ask your credit union. So if you go by your credit union or call into your credit union, ask your credit manager if they are affiliated with a credit union. Ask the credit union manager if they're affiliated with a credit union. If they are not, my recommendation would be to do a search on the internet through your favorite search engine, especially someone who is in proximity if you want to meet with somebody physically or someone that has a number of good reviews and good ratings, and sit down and tell them where you want to go and what you want to do and ask them the relevant questions.
I love it. Hey, D.
Next
All right,
one, she
what else
had
you got,
one
Mom?
more follow-up. She said, "I know you can't drop names. This is shooting her shot. But what's a smart stock to invest in right now?"
I would say good categories would be batteries, especially now that we're moving toward electric vehicles, and most major car manufacturers are producing lines of electric vehicles. So certainly batteries. I would certainly think utilities. I would certainly think stocks that are very low, but they have potential. Here's what I do. Whenever I'm looking for a stock, and I look through stocks every single week, I look at some stocks that are $2, $3, $4, $5 a share. I kind of look at the company, look at what they're doing, look at their potential, look at their industry, and decide if I want to invest in that particular stock. Give you a quick one. I invested in a stock that was $3 a share, and this stock was a gaming stock. I just read enough about the company, and I said, you know what, I'm going to invest in it. So I started buying shares, $3 here and there, and kind of like you. I didn't reward myself. I took it and bought the stock. I ended up with 1,800 shares of that stock. It went from $3 to $25.
Oh. Are there industries that are more risky than others?
Yes, I think there are industries more risky than others, but I want you to do that research. For example, I probably wouldn't do anything with shipping.
Okay.
I wouldn't, but somebody else would.
Okay.
Because investing is about risk tolerance.
Okay.
Some people want low risk. Some people want high reward, high risk. For me, this is going to sound so crazy. It's all gut. I got to feel it. After I've done all the research, if I don't feel it, I don't do it.
Hmm.
I've been playing poker for 20 years. And one guy's like, why'd you risk so much in that? I said, I felt it. I did.
Okay, that's all that matters. We got a question on the screen. Well, help us out.
All right, Courtney asks, do you think life insurance is a good investment? And if so, what kind would you get?
Yeah, life insurance is an absolute must. Remember that life insurance does a number of things. One, it does income replacement. So let's just say John has a wife and three kids. If anything happens to John, that wife and those three kids will have to mourn his life, mourn his loss, and celebrate his life, and then they'd have to live beyond that. The good rule of thumb is 10 years worth of income replacement. I'll give you something to think about. I believe that insurance should be based on your capacity for your budget, which means you may have to start off with term life insurance. You may want to graduate to universal life or whole life. And again, you can do research on these particular categories to see if they fit your investment strategy. I have a friend that had a whole life policy. He borrowed against the cash value of that policy, took the cash value out of that policy, went and purchased another policy. And when he did that, the only thing he was going to lose upon death benefit was the cash in there, the face value of the policy still paid. Now, that's his strategy. I wouldn't do that. Now they're talking about using your life insurance policy as your bank. That's a whole nother financial strategy that you may want to consider. I don't believe in one size fits all, and I ask people to make sure you understand it before. I'll give you an example. In 2020, everybody was saying, buy these box trucks because Amazon's going to need help, so on and so forth. Everybody buy these box trucks for 6 months, they're booming, and then after 6 months, they're bust. You have to make sure that the strategy fits you. And I, for one, I'm not a skeptic. I test everything. Because at the end of the day, I want to make sure I have the money left when all the dust settles, right? I don't want 6 months worth of money. A friend of mine bought a dump truck after Katrina and turned it on and didn't turn it off. They were able to pay the truck off in a year, pay all the partners back their investment, and buy other trucks. That's a solid investment.
Okay. One that grows, continues to grow. Okay, I like it. So I know you said that you are a seller, and one of the things you said is you're an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about your entrepreneurship.
Yeah, find stuff that you like. Find stuff that you can make money on. Because I'm so busy, I have to find stuff that I can do that fits my life and my schedule. And so it was selling. And so I started selling printers. I started selling stainless steel cables, you name it. It would make a profit margin. It had to be in a certain margin. I would do it. So I ended up doing 5 or 6 things. Right? I was selling restaurant equipment and just making a ton of money on it. All right. Yeah. Just selling. Just selling.
That's it.
I buy it at an auction or buy it from businesses closing, clean it up, put it on the internet for sale.
So like an eBay kind of situation.
eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, Opera, and others.
Wow.
Took an ad out in the paper. Yeah. I had a friend that did it with cars.
With cars.
He did it with cars. He saved up his money one year after a income tax refund and bought a Honda Civic. Right? He bought a Honda Civic for $2,000, sold it for $4,000. Bought another one for $2,000, sold it for $4,000. Bought another one for $2,000. Then he bought 2. Then he bought 4. Then he bought 6. Right? One of the persons that couldn't afford it said, "Well, can I just rent it? I'll give you $200 a week." This guy rented it for $200 a week for 5 years. Now we're talking about entrepreneurship.
Right. Okay.
We want profitability. And you're not a bad person because you're not saying, you know what, you're crazy, you can buy it. Another one of my friends put together 3 of his friends, sitting in the bar, having a drink and a cigar. Said, you know what? Let's create a space. Let's make it for partners. They did it. They're rolling like a ball on the hill. And they routinely say, I just don't understand. I need to borrow that. So it doesn't.
You're doing it.
He's got 12 chairs in there, and everyone's full.
Wow.
Everyone's got fun.
Well, everyone's not built for entrepreneurship.
No, everyone's not built for entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship requires that you have a certain level of awareness and a certain level of discipline. Because you got to do the work.
Right. So how do you help entrepreneurs with their budget? Because I mean, there's times you have to budget your business and your personal, and sometimes they overlap because if the business isn't doing what it needs to do, it has a rut, a drought in the business, then the personal finances have to cover some of those business expenses. How do you help with that kind of budget?
Because we'll start off by making sure that you can afford it. Like you said, you can't afford to do business. If you can't take a loss, you can't afford to do business. You know what I mean? I've been in real estate and I've had to take a loss, but I can afford to take that loss because I was good with what I did. For example, I found a house in Grant Park. Tree fell on it. They didn't do any of the work on the inside. It sank on one side. I bought that house for 118. I renovated it. 9 months later, I sold it for 300.
Okay. Okay.
Those are needle in the haystack deals. They don't happen often. But I was there and I was ready. But then there have been others that didn't work out for me. So you have to be okay saying, you know what, I'm going to make this happen. So I'll set myself up so that it doesn't bankrupt me to have it. But I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to make it. Life is about risk.
Yeah.
Risk. I was talking to a guy one day, and he's like, I don't understand faith. I said, well, you understand risk? He said, I do. I said, that's what real faith is. Real faith is taking a risk.
Real faith is taking a risk. Put that in your pocket, y'all. Whoa, help me out with this question.
All right, we got D for one more. She says, my 401k took a hit during the pandemic. I'm not of age, but I want to take my money out of the 401k and put it in a Roth. I'm willing to take the penalty. Do you think it's a good idea?
Do not. Leave it. Leave it where it is. Leave it where it is. Unless you feel like the only way to be at peace is to do this, I wouldn't do it. They will take hits. They will take hits. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in the world, said this. He said, upon my death, somebody's going to manage all of the stuff that I leave my wife in terms of stock. They're going to manage it for her. He said, the thing that I told him to do is leave it in the market. Don't take it out. Whether it goes up or down, don't take it out. Right? Let's say the market takes $1. If you got 1,000 shares of stock, hey, doesn't matter. You still got 1,000 shares.
Right.
It may not be worth as much. Right? So let's say you bought it at $5 and now it's $80. If the market tanks and it goes down to $4, would you take your money out? No, absolutely not.
At some point, it's going to go back.
There you go.
You don't want to miss the upswing.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Believe me, I wish it was always good. It's not, which is why we've got to have risk tolerance. Risk tolerance, right? A friend of mine was like, I had an accident. I hate driving. I'm like, you don't hate driving. You have an accident.
Right.
So just be more careful.
All right. Okay. So, guys, we're going to come back. Well, wait a minute. Let's do these couple questions, then we're going to take a quick break. Well, help us out.
All right, one last one before break. Courtney wants to know, what are good investments for kids?
Good investments for kids would be mutual funds. I would also recommend, what do they call those things? About years ago. Oh,
The little Gerber thing?
no, I'm drawing a blank. I hope you get it right. Savings bonds. These are also good opportunities for kids. But you could give them big people investments. You can give them adult investment. Create a mutual fund for your child. That's right. And allow the money that you would put in there to be automatically deducted and transferred in there. Sure, you can absolutely do that. CDs if you want. Saving if you want access to it, create some that have access that you can have access to.
Okay. And what's the best age? I mean, let's say you missed the from birth situation.
Right now.
So any
The
point.
best chance you'll ever have.
Gotcha.
Right now.
Okay. So, guys, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about saving strategies. Because I think that's one thing that a lot of people are struggling with, especially because of the downturn that our economy keeps taking, is being able to actually save. So figuring out strategies that help us save and build something for later. So when we come back, we'll talk to Dr. Hodges about saving strategies. So we'll take this quick break, and we'll see you back here at the next part.
When it's time to celebrate a milestone, do it in style. Posh Event Center can design a party to turn 40, 50, 60, and beyond with a theme or other unique event decor.
Hey guys, catching me in mid sip. I'm telling y'all, this old fashioned is good.
Hilarious.
So, since I didn't get to take my sip. All right, so we have been talking with Dr. Hodges, and we're talking about saving strategies now because we've been talking about financial literacy and responsibility. So, thank you guys for dropping your comments and your questions here so we can answer those for you so we can start to build strategies, good habits for finances. So let's talk about saving strategies. One of the things I have noticed, especially since 2020, we've all started looking at money a little differently because before 2020, as long as we had a job, we felt like we're good. And then 2020 happened, and a lot of people lost their jobs because it was dealing with being in public. Um, for those of you who don't know, Steak and Shake completely eliminated the server position. So there was a woman who literally was working at Steak and Shake for like 20, 25 years. That's the only thing she had done for the last 20 years. And then they completely eliminated that position. So when you have a moment like that where what you used to rely on so heavily is no longer available, now you're starting to look at money differently. You're starting to figure out different ways of saving, realizing how important saving is. Because I think a lot of us did not save because we just felt like we were always going to have money. And then 2020 happened and changed the game for everybody. So let's talk about saving strategies. What are things that we can do, simple things, and maybe a little more complicated things later on that can get us started?
Number one, I think everybody should work to save. Everybody should work to save. That should be their biggest priority. The best way to save is by eliminating your debt. So Dave Ramsey has a system called the Total Money Method. You may not like Dave Ramsey because of his political views, ultra conservative, etc. But at the end of the day, it's Total Money Makeover. It works.
Okay.
Period. In the sentence. Dave Ramsey's system works because it gets us to a desired end, and that's debt free. And so, if you're not familiar with it, I recommend you take a look at it in order. Total Money Makeover. But here's what I believe we should start with. We should start with an emergency fund. An emergency fund can represent 3 months of bills, etc. Right? You need a cushion. Okay. Life happens. Right? I think the best way to start with your emergency fund is through your income tax refund. When you get it, don't spend it. Put it up. Stay. Create your emergency fund as quickly as possible. If you don't get a refund, you have to hustle. So that means you're going to work your regular job. You got to pick up another job to create money for your emergency fund. After you create an emergency fund, start paying off your debts. Every single solitary one. Start paying them off. And do not create new debt. Okay. If there's a way you can undo some debt, undo it. Let's say you bought a car, and if you got out of that car, you can get into a less expensive car, or you can get into a car for cash. I do it. Right? You want to find ways to unencumber your income as quickly as possible. You live in an apartment, you probably need to buy a house because the benefits you get from a house, you won't be able to get. So you want to put your investment into something that's going to help you, right? So we're going to pay off create an emergency fund, pay off our debt, we're going to get a house and pay that house off, and we're going to live debt free. That's a great strategy, right? I think there are people, on average, I think people should save a year's salary. They got a strategy, a goal, and then create a strategy to do that. I want to save a year's salary, right? Imagine what you could do with a year's salary. Imagine what the average family could do if they just had a year's salary. If they did not keep living a life of indebtedness that brings them to more indebtedness. Imagine what could happen. I was telling this to a friend of mine. He said, I paid my car for my training. I said, don't trade it. I don't want the transmission to go out. I said, well, you do realize you're in an emergency fund. He said, and I said, you can replace your transmission. And you're set. You're not paying $350, $450, $550, $750. The truck you wanted was $850 a month. You'll replace that transmission. The day will come when you'll be able to get that truck and pay that truck off in 2 years. That's what you want to do when that day comes. Until that day happens, you want to live on less. I think the other saving strategy is live on less. Live on less, right? If I were starting over right now, I was 18 years old, I'm moving out of my parents' house. The first thing I'd say is, what number can I pay you so that I can stay?
Yeah, right.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
What number can I pay you so I can stay? And I take the reduced number and I pay them up 4 years and I save the rest until I can move right?
Right.
I will make sure I have no debts, and then I will move out. Or if they're amenable, I'd stay there until I raise enough money to buy my house.
Mm.
And now we're shifting the paradigm. Right now, excuse me, right now, there's a number of people who keep living the same paradigm, and they keep doing it over and over and over. And that's the sad part, because insanity is doing the same thing over and over again,
Right.
and expecting a different result.
Right.
No, the real story is you have to move toward a consciousness about what you have done and create a plan and a strategy and move forward. Live it powerfully.
So you touched on something very important. That's a conversation my brother and I have had before, where he's like, one of the biggest mistakes we make in the Black community is as soon as our kids are 18, they're gone, and we don't prepare them for being out on their own. High school does not prepare you for college or life. College does not prepare you for life either. It's a very small little, okay, this little discipline is going to help you, but it doesn't prepare you for being on your own. And he said, one of the biggest mistakes we make as a Black community is pushing them out, not having multiple generations in the household, learning from older generations and things like that, and preparing younger generations. So outside of just letting them stay with you forever, but what are ways we can help them once they become adults and they start becoming more responsible for their money? What are ways we can help them with that?
Tell Jared that coin has two sides. The other side of that coin is our children got to be willing to learn.
Okay.
They got to be willing to learn. I can't create a haven, a safe space, sacred space, for you to be in a home with generational wisdom if you're not paying attention. If you're still blowing the money, you know what I mean? If you're still doing things that's deleterious and negative and harmful to your own sustainability. So there's got to be this mutuality. Parents have got to teach, and children have got to learn.
Right.
I take my kids to Cracker Barrel, and I sit down with the newspaper, and I make them look up words that they didn't know. And so they have to look up the word, the definition of the word, and the etymology of the word. And my son hated it. He's absolutely hated it. Right. So he became an adult. He's like, okay,
right.
Yeah, glad you did that. We really needed that. Or thanks for this lesson, right? So there's got to be this mutuality. I think one of the things that Black families can do is to reimagine their relationship with their children. We give our children too much. And if you go back to the 70s, maybe the 60s, the turning point in African American families, three things. Number one, when social assistance was based on the person being in the home, mainly the male. He was there, you couldn't get it. Once he's gone, you get it. So the disintegration of the family. The second thing was the necessity of giving our children things to pacify them. That has killed us. Okay. Because we wanted our kids to have what we didn't have. I didn't have it, I'm gonna make sure they get it. Okay. And what we didn't realize is that we were ruining them. Right? Because now they're people of quick gratification. So their habit is I get what I want. So I've got 50 pairs of Jordans, but I don't have a life insurance policy. If anything happens to me, you got to put money together. Right. But I got 50 pairs of Jordans. Right. Right? Yeah. I think the third thing that happened was we got busy. We got busy living, and we forgot the responsibility of parent. And parent, first responsibility is preparation. You got to prepare you for the next stage. Prepare you for how you are to live financially, for how you are to live relationally, for how you are to live romantically. Yeah. Right? For my kids asked a big day, and I said, not in my house. It's like what I said, because you're not emotionally ready today. Okay. Years later, they said, thank you, Dad, you're right. Even though we didn't do what you're supposed to do, you're right. We weren't ready emotionally. And they realized that there was so much drama attached to it. So much drama attached to that. So it starts with everybody, not just parents. Because it's tough for me to teach a lesson to somebody that's ignoring me. Right. It's tough. And when I give you all the best that I have and you do nothing with it, and then I still have to bail you out, that's problematic. Yeah, that's problematic. Okay. So one of the other podcasts that's in our media group, they were talking about women being willing to date men who make less than them. Now, some women were saying they didn't mind. Some women were saying no.
My thing is the living within your means. So it's not about whether you make more money than me, but it's about you being smart with your money. So living within our means, still being able to enjoy certain things, still preparing for our future. How early do we start showing those habits to our kids?
Immediately. That should be a part of your parental strategy.
Okay.
That should be a part of the conversation. My dissertation was about sacred conversations, a space, a sacred space for conversation, right? And I think we should create that space every chance, every single chance. If we do, then what we're doing is we're putting in our children's hands the responsibility to obey and to guide and to create their own strategy, right? I have a cousin who decided he wasn't going to college. He became an entrepreneur. He's growing like a ball over here. I have another cousin who decided to go to college. He's growing phenomenal. He's growing like a ball over here. What's the difference between the two? They both made decisions based on information given to them, and those decisions worked out. College isn't for everybody.
Right.
So it worked out for me.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody, right? And if it's not for you, I'm not going to force you to go. But I do want to push you toward your dream, toward that thing that turns your lights on, that keeps you focused, right? Got another guy, he loves doing trash.
Doing trash.
Doing trash.
Like picking up trash.
Right. Clean out your basement, clean out your garage, clean
Okay.
your yard. He loves doing that. He's booked 18 weeks a day. He can't get to the next customer for 18 weeks.
He cleans up.
Yep.
For a living.
Yep.
Okay.
That's his thing. Not the list, he graduated 3.9.
Interesting.
But trash is his thing. He said, I like to do this because it gives me the flexibility to live the life I want to live.
Okay.
He said, so there are days that I have where I don't have anything to do, and there are days that I'm stacked for 16 hours, and I'm still making it. He said, I own everything that I have. I own my home. Right? He chose his path.
Right.
Right? That is not the path for me. I am not doing trade.
I'm not. I'm more positive.
And that is not.
Not my testimony.
No more than me going to aeronautics school. It just ain't gonna happen.
Right.
No, right? And no desire for that. You have to do what fits for you. And once you do what fits for you, that's where your money's going to be.
Right. So these conversations with our kids, I mean, how do we introduce them? I mean, do we start with an example and then, like, okay, they start with an allowance and then we start talking about financial responsibility, or these words that we should be introducing to them in a certain way and then doing the example? Like, what is the, because I know kids learn differently, but just making sure that the lesson is sticking. What are some strategies that you've used in the past that help you have those conversations with your kids?
The most profound example is personal conversation, personal sitting right in front of them and saying, let me tell you myself. I was telling my kids, we report, they're like, what? I said, we didn't have money for your car seats. We did? No, Dad, you kidding. Your dad has had 5 car seats. What? No, Dad, not you. To tell them the story. What we've done is we've created the image, but I've had to tell my children, here's the real story.
Right.
The guy that you're looking at now, the guy that lives this life, I used to be. I know what it's like to be at the end of the month and not know if we would have a place. I know what it's like. My daughter's like, Dad, I don't believe it. I said, that's your money. Right? The most sobering conversations are the ones where you can pull back your costume and say, look at my scar. That's the conversation. We don't have those conversations. You know what I mean? Right? We are ashamed of conversations about sex. I had to tell my kids how I lost my virginity. I had to tell them the age I started having sex. I had to tell them that because I wanted them to know. My son was like, Dad, you was the man. I'm like, you're an idiot. So dumb. What's wrong with you? You told me this one. Dad, for real. Dad, I don't be like you. Just let me choke you right now.
Like, that is not how I told you that story.
Right. You know,
like, you totally missed why I shared this with you.
Unfortunately for us, we've not learned, as Ed Wimberly said, how to move from shame to self-worth. And our shame is right? I told my children stories, but I also told them my successes, my strategies for success. So they saw my hurt, my pain, my failure. They saw my strategies for success, and ultimately, then were they able to say, okay. So start with faithful conversations. Our kids are not too early to hear the truth. They are, it's never too early for our kids to hear the truth. It's not too early. So start with sobering conversations and say to them, when we come into this room and mom or dad, mom and dad sit you down, it's no play, no cell phone, no nothing. It's us having this real conversation. So I need your undivided attention. Right? When I say it's that day, Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, we all meet in this room. If nobody's want to spend the night at anybody's house, we're all meeting in this room. That's what I do with my kids. I set them down. I told them the story.
Were they okay? So obviously they were shocked about you being poor at some point. What were other, if you don't mind sharing, what were other things they were shocked about to find out?
I think my kids were shocked that I wasn't a good
one. No.
Okay.
Define good boy.
The opposite of what I was. I was in Detroit.
Wow.
Walter, you said that. God, don't swear.
He's like, well. Always interesting before the calling.
Right.
Before the calling.
And my kids, they don't believe it is no stories. Like, I know you were always good. I said, no, I was mature. But I wasn't good.
Gotcha.
My son said, what's the difference? I said, when your mom's not around, I'll tell you. So it's different. I said, yeah, you weren't mature enough. But you can't call. I didn't get caught.
Wow. So I think sobering conversations with the kids.
Absolutely.
Is definitely
and be willing to tell them your story.
Yeah.
And not hide. You know what I mean? Of course I was embarrassed. Of course I was ashamed. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
It was tough for me to have to tell my children these things, but I needed to tell them the truth. And in some ways, telling them the truth for me.
So in turn, did they end up sharing their sobering stories with you?
No.
What?
No.
Really?
No.
Because the funny thing is, I told my dad about different things that have happened. You know, he found out how I lost my virginity. I told him. We were having an honest conversation, and I ended up telling him. And he was kind of like, you know, you can tell me anything. And then when I told him, I was like, oh, Lord, he's going to flip out. He didn't. So our relationship continued to get stronger. Now, I mean, there were certain things that he's probably never, ever going to tell me because he's my dad. But I think, like, because he did share certain stories with me, it made it easier for me to say, okay, my turn. Now I'm going to be honest. Because I just really just wanted to kind of just rip away the veil between what he may have thought and what was true. And I wanted to be honest with him. But it was him telling his story. And I was like, okay, I'm going to tell mine. So your kids did not tell any of their stories. Not even later?
To their mom, they did.
What?
To me, they did.
So you told an embarrassing story and they were like, never mind.
Well, you know, I think they've also grown into the window and said, my dad is a straight-laced dude.
Right.
You know, he's no drunk kind of dude. So they were more comfortable with their mother because they feel like mom's not going to diagnose and try to fix it. Mom won't ask any questions. Dad's going to ask questions.
Ah. Yeah. You're going to probe.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because I don't want you to ever make that decision. Here's my short definition of wisdom. Wisdom is knowledge that you gain through experience.
Okay.
I want them to apply wisdom. If you keep doing it over and over again, you just got knowledge. You have no wisdom.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Knowledge, wisdom is knowledge that you gain through experience that you learn to apply.
Okay.
Right? I got a ticket one day for driving fast. Keep doing this.
They will teach you to use the brake pedal.
It's all just.
That's an expensive lesson.
What?
Just take a speeding ticket.
$235. I'm like, oh, yeah, the last the judge. This is the last 235 you won't ever get from Brian.
And I hate it when I had this, ooh, they were like, you ready to submit your payment? No. But yes, because you're not going to take my license. So yes, I'm going to submit this payment. Well, do we have any questions that popped up that we missed?
No, ma'am. It's really more so just responses to the show. But definitely dropping some gems there, Doc. We appreciate that insight.
I'm so welcome, friend.
Y'all see why he here in the dive bar. Y'all see why he here. So while we're here in the dive bar talking, one of the things that you taught me listening to you was to look at money as a tool. Expound on that if you don't mind.
If I were to say, Randy, one thing I think is so important is that every nickel you make should make it.
Okay.
Every nickel you make should make it. So I don't know how old you are. You're much younger than me.
40. Yes.
In 30 years, you could be staring at least $1 million. That's not anyway a stretch of the imagination. Okay. You got to make every nickel. Right? So I'm going to give the audience something to do. We've got a participant here. Tell me her name. Courtney. So I want you to take a separate sheet of paper out. I want you guys to take a separate sheet of paper out. And I want you to write down the left side of that paper, 1 to 12 in a row, from top to bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right down. Just kind of go with me on this.
I got you.
Right? All the way down. You do it at home. Just get a separate sheet of paper. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down to 12. I'm going to do it. You should put your math down. All right. Okay. So at 1 is going to represent numerically January.
Okay.
All right. $100. Now here's the question. If I gave you $100 January 1st, could you make that $100 make $100 by January 31st? Okay. So February you got what? 200. So the number 2 represents February. 200. You got 200. Can you make 200? Make 200. Yeah. So March you got what? Right?
People are asking all these questions after
same thing.
It's old fashioned. Lord Jesus.
400. 400 is what? 800. 800. 800 is 16. 16 and 16 is 32. 32 and 32 is 64. 64 and 64 is 12, 8. 12, 8 and 12, 8 is 25, 6. 25, 6 and 25, 6 is 52, 4. Yeah?
Yeah.
Keep going. What month are you on?
52, 4, 52, 4.
Yep.
1048.
1048. Yep. 1048. And 1048 is what? What month are you on now?
What month are you on? 10. 10.
Yep. Keep going.
So what was our last number? 2096. The 4092? we are. I don't know why you want me to do math and drink, Lord.
Right? You think about this. Can you take $100 this month and double it next month?
Yes, I can.
You do realize that whatever it took to double it this month is what it'll take to double it next month. You do realize that you can add on to it, so you can do more creative things. Keep doubling. You know you can have $500,000 at the end of the year. You can double it. You're $100 every year.
Wow.
We just did it.
Wow.
The people at home just did it. Right?
So you need $100 idea.
And remember, our ideas do this. They get wider. Every month we go. Because I'm putting the screws, you know what I'm saying to you. Pay you $100 and you made $100. That means you're smart enough to make that $100 make it $100 100 more times.
Mm.
And if you can do that 100 more times, imagine what else you can do. You're that close to being a millionaire, but do you have the discipline? So I was leading a class of 300 people, and I had them do this. And so I had everybody stand up. We went through the months. We make 100, 200, 400, 800, 16, 32, 64, etc. By the time we got 12,800, most of the people were sitting down, except 8. By the time we got to month number 12, there was one person standing up.
You or somebody else.
Somebody else. And this guy has had several $1 million go through his hands because he understands the strategies of it. Strategies of it. Your ideas will sell. Are you selling them?
I know that.
And then you have to keep selling it. And keep selling it. And you have to keep creating content to sell. Guess what's going to happen? I don't know if you ever heard of a guy named Mr. Beast.
Hmm.
Yeah, you need to look him up, Mr. Beast. Okay. You probably don't recognize the name. Somebody had offered him $1 billion for his social media platform. He said, if I take $1 billion, I'll be taking a big cut.
Wow.
He has hundreds of millions of followers. I would be willing to bet he has more followers on social media than anybody else. Check him out. You're gonna be blown away. He's the goofiest white dude. And they do the goofiest stuff. Right. And everybody watches it, including me.
He's selling content.
He's selling content. And our thing is we just gotta be people who are willing to do something bigger. Right? Her name's Courtney.
Yes.
Courtney can make $500,000 this year if she wants to. The choice is hers.
You want it?
The choice is hers. Right. The choice is yours. You can make $1 million this year. The choice is yours.
Even though we're in September. The end of September.
I'm sorry, I'm an eternal optimist. I'm a man of faith. I'm a man of possibility. How bad do you want it? I think that's the real story, isn't it? Mm-hmm. When it comes to financial literacy and freedom and liberation, it's how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? Robert Kiyosaki was 50 years old before he made his first $1 million. Now he's got hundreds of millions. And he owns thousands of pieces of property around the world.
That's the rich ass.
He was 50. There are a number of millionaires that have made it and lost it. And made it again. Mm. How bad do you want it? I think that's the story, right? I was sad when we got our stimulus checks and the line was out the door and down the sidewalk. I was heartbroken. Yeah. I was heartbroken. I want you to have Louis Vuitton, but I don't want you to have Louis Vuitton if you don't have 25K in the bank. Right. Unencumbered 25K. Right? If you're still wondering how you're gonna pay your rent,
you're not gonna lose.
No. You get one. Get you one from Xing Chao Li. Get your Louis from Xing Chao Li.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, you just need to see the letters.
Right.
Xing Chao Li. In Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, on the street corner. $100. You, $100. You like me. 100. You take this. Why not? Right. Okay, you go. Don't turn back.
Fine, if you insist, I'll take it.
I was in Shanghai, China. The guy came up and said, "Oh, you, nice one. Who you? Nobody. Okay. I have a bag full of those."
You want another one?
Yeah, this is kind of not like that. Where you stay? None of your business. My friend wants to see you. Think about your friend about to get in the eye. Yeah, but you can do whatever you like to do.
Right.
Are you willing to do it?
Okay.
I lost 65 pounds. I lost 65 pounds by doing this. I got 70 more to go. I'm going to lose that 70. I got 70 more to go. I'm going to lose it. And let me tell you why I'm going to lose it. Because I made a decision. Made it. Right now, you're either on the precipice of possibility or the precipice of failure. Yeah. You're on the precipice of possibility.
So you apply the way that you look at finances to every aspect of your life.
Yes.
So all those disciplines that you do with money, you do with your health, you do with your reading, your education.
Life is about a system of thinking. A system of thinking. And the systems work. Systems get us the desired results. Systems work. So you have to apply the system. You know what I mean? Right? Everything I like is bad. So I can eat rice, potatoes, pasta, and bread on the same plate and be good. Well, I ain't gotta have no meat. I'm good. Give me some more of that rice. Right? Give me rice. Give me some more of the potatoes. Fried potatoes. Right? I can do that. I already know that's not good. You know what I have to do? I have to restrict myself. Right? I like chocolate. So I could have chocolate cake, chocolate icing, chocolate chips, chocolate shavings, chocolate fondue, chocolate fondant, and still be like, y'all got any more chocolate? Right?
Okay.
I know that I can eat a whole cake.
Oh.
Now I won't have it.
Wow.
I'm after something.
Yeah, we'll go.
After something. Okay. Right? There's a little lady in our neighborhood. She fried fish. She fried fish. Some light bread and some fries. She got rich. Right. She never got rich. She worked in a plant. She fried fish. There's another lady in our neighborhood, baked cakes. She worked a little job, baked cakes at night. Cut them up, sold them to the kids on the way to school. I kid you not. I bought plenty of them. It's $2. It's like, you want what you want? Cook that baby. It's $2. And she got, in the suitcase, and she got like 60 or 70 slices and gold everything.
Wow.
So one day, we call her Cake Lady. I said, Cake Lady, here. No, baby, I ain't got nothing. She said, you're not a brand new Mercedes. I said, well, how much that cost? She said, it's paying for it.
Exactly. You call me cake.
You can get what you want. Are you willing to hustle? And that's the other thing. If I were to tell all of you one thing, I'd say this: birth the hustler in you. Birth the hustler in you. Turn off your TV, get off your phone, reappropriate your time, get off the internet, and birth the hustler. Reappropriate your discretionary time. So you know what? I'm going to give myself 20 hours a week. 20 hours a week. Right? 20 hours a week is less than 3 hours a day. I'm going to devote to a business that will help me birth the hustler. There's money right there. There's money everywhere. I went in the store. I was in Sevierville, Tennessee. I went in the store and I heard the manager say, I just wish we could get rid of all of these hats. I said, I'll give you $5 a hat. She said, all of these hats. That'll be $1,800. I said, you want cash in my car?
Yeah.
I said, pack them all up.
So,
you have to think.
wow.
You have to think. Wow. And people will look at me and say, you're a bishop, you're a pastor, you're a professor, you do that. I'm after $1. I want to live a certain life. Right? Let me give you my mind. Ready for this card? For free. I want to live where I want, drive what I want, wear what I want, vacation where I want, eat what I want, do what I want. Those are that's my motivation. Right? I was sitting in the Miami Heat game, and I wasn't trying to pay. How am I gonna pay? I was good.
Right.
And I'm not rich. I just birthed the hustle. Can I go? Told a friend of mine, where are you at? I turned down the collar.
Got it. An opportunity presents itself.
Your dad
My dad
met me in the bookstore. I was a struggling young man. What church you go to? I'm a son, first grade. You can afford to give it all. There's something about our stories that say you got to be willing to go. And what you did for me, I helped you.
We have a question from the audience.
talk to it.
D says, should I try and find a CPA along with a financial advisor before I start
Absolutely.
investing?
Yep, absolutely. I don't recommend anybody live without a CPA. It's way too easy. It's way too easy. Certified public accountant. Yeah, you want a CPA. Yep, it's way too easy.
So a CPA is not a financial advisor, or can they be one in the same?
It all depends. Some are, some are not.
Okay.
But I like CPAs that are just CPAs.
Okay.
I want my CPA to be in tax seminars, etc. When I call them out, wait, he's in a tax seminar, good.
Okay.
They're like, yeah, he's just at home. I'm like, no, tell him he need to go to work. Right? Go. My grandmother said, go to get you some learning.
Get you some learning.
He said, grandma's education. Well, you know what I mean.
Follow-up question to that. Well, more so is she needs some recommendations. Do you have any?
R.L. Jennings, Rome CPA. R-O-M-E, Rome CPA. You thank me later.
Okay. All right. So if we were to look in your library, what are the books that have the most highlights, the most notes, the ones that are your go-to? Even though you've read them, you'll go back to them. What are some of those books?
Grit by Angela Duckworth. Do you have it?
No.
I'll buy it for you.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you now. You're probably going to damage it. Throwing it on the ground. You know what Angela Duckworth says in Grit? She says it's not intellect, it's not connection, it's not network, it's not your emotional capacity. She said it's your grit, your capacity to keep going. Ooh. I tell you, it's one of my favorite books. Grit, Necessary Endings by Henry Cloud. I think around chapter 6 or so, Henry Cloud says, hopelessness is good. Because when you realize something is hopeless, you can end it. Oh, God. Woo! I was like, oh.
The ability to let go.
The ability to just be done.
Wow.
He reframed hopelessness for me in a way that
Because we always want to have hope, but
we
sometimes
resuscitate things that we should let go.
cutoff game. Got to be stronger than what a lot of us do. And I think a lot of people think it's toxic relationships, jobs, all this stuff, because they just do not have the ability to just
Henry Cloud has another book called
walk away.
Never Go Back.
Never go back.
Yep. Henry Cloud has another book called Change the Difference. Dave Ramsey, Total Money Maker. These are books that I would just go back and read again. I'm trying to remember. This book is called Atomic Habits.
I have that book and I know exactly what you're talking about.
Read it.
I've started it. I need to
James Clear.
I need to finish it.
Yep. James Clear. Yep.
That was one I started reading, and as I'm reading, I'm making notes on things. So it's like I start making notes on stuff, and I was like, I gotta go back and read it. He has, from the beginning of the book, he has stuff that you can use. Just looking at whatever you're trying to apply it to. I was looking at my business, and he was talking about the small things you can do, and I was like, ooh. And so I'm making notes. I'm like, I gotta go back and I gotta read it.
About doing small things consistent.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing I'm saying about hustle. Right? You learn how to hustle. We don't attach our hustle to a specific thing. Like, I don't have to do it because I like it. I have to do it because it makes me money. Most of the stuff we do, we don't do because we like it. We do it because it makes us money.
And that's one thing I like about mine. My passion, what makes me money is my passion. And that was one of the things I always tell people. Find something you like to do. So you'll do it even on the days where you're like, oh my God, I'm tired. I really want to just stay in the bed. But let me at least do one thing for this today. Like if I do at least one thing for my business, it's a productive day. Of course I do more than one. Because it's like once you get started, then you're like, and people are like, you work a lot. I don't consider it work because it's my passion. It's what I love to do. But that is the one thing I'm like, I'll lose sleep over it. Because if it's a choice between going to sleep or sending this email or creating this postcard or this flyer or this post or whatever, that's what it is.
Yeah, I think the other thing is entrepreneurs have to have good boundaries about what you can do. You can work 6 days, you just can't work 7. For me, my ethic about work is God created heaven and Thursday, 6 days on a 7-day rest day. So my week ends on Thursday, starts on Saturday. I take Friday off.
Nice.
There's some days I work 16 hours, but I don't work 7 days a week. Nobody can.
Right.
Nobody can. If you work 7 days a week, you start your second day, you have the energy. And that's why we get worn out. Because we can't think fresh. Because we're worn out. No, you have to slow down.
So when you say you don't work, it's not even the small things you do.
Not on Fridays.
Wow.
And there are people who say, well, I'm an entrepreneur, I got to do it. Ask Chick-fil-A, extra caffeine Chick-fil-A.
Right.
They're still closed. Extra caffeine, not sleeps and less than and they're still closed on Sunday. Period.
And you hear so many people say no days off, no days off. And it's something that so many people have adopted.
It's not sustainable.
Right.
You gotta have time. Right? You gotta have time.
Business owners, y'all listening?
You gotta have time.
You gotta take at least one day off. You are not being lazy.
You gotta take 4 vacations. No exception. 4 vacations.
Is that a certain amount of days? Like a 2, 3, 7-day vacation? 4 days. Lord, we wouldn't know what to do without this.
You still work 48 weeks. You still work 48 weeks.
Wow.
You gotta take care of you. Because one thing you can't get back is your health.
That's true. For y'all that are hearing that, that's the ice machine here. I tell my students all the time, it's not possessed, it's just old. But we are here at ABC Bartending School. Shout out to Gino and our ABC Bartending family. That's our ice machine. He just want to let y'all know it's in the building. But we are gonna wrap up. But I did want to ask you about the poll question about an allowance for kids. Yay or nay?
No.
No. Okay, why?
Everything you get, you have to
Okay.
create standards for them. They get money, they get allowance.
Okay. Now I found online when I asked the question, I used a picture, and it was an allowance tracker. And it said like make my bed, take out trash, do the dishes, and each one of those was worth a certain amount of money. So no to that. So how do they earn it?
They have to create. Parents have to create new things to challenge them to be responsible. I'm not gonna pay you to brush your teeth.
Right. Right. Brushing your teeth is its own reward.
$2 I took a bath every night before. You just took a bath and you took 2. Right?
Right.
So you have to create things that draw them into it.
Okay.
I started McDonald's at 15, and I could outwork every single person. Open that people there. At the end of the summer, the manager came to me and said, here's a schedule right down. I want to work 40 hours a week during the summer. She said every summer and every time you're on break. Well, how did you get it? She said, this student can outwork anybody. Because my dad trained us. They're like, I don't want to take the grease trap out. I don't want to get under there and dig that. I'll do it. She's like, you do whatever you want.
Wow.
So we have employees that have to pay 50% of their meals and everything. She's like, and when you go home, take what you want. I'm gonna give you 2 salads and 2 freshies. You got it. Right? I'm gonna give you 2 shades. Why did you get free stuff? I would do anything. It's like, oh man, that toilet's disgusting. It's stopped up. Brian, would you please go sure? I cleaned stopped up toilets. I worked in the church.
Bless you.
I cleaned them out.
That was where I always draw the line.
Our sump pump backed up.
Oh.
I cleaned it. Like, are you disgusted? I said, sure. But it's got to be done.
Right.
I'd rather be disgusted than sad.
I think that.
So I'm the person that's going to, listen, you can sit around and say how nasty it is, or you can do something about it. Me, I'm going to do something about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
We got one more here.
One more question. Talk to us, Wolf.
All right. So, next question is, what are your thoughts on the future of e-commerce, the longevity of it?
Yeah, it's not going anywhere. It's going to be a part of our economic stratum forever. It's the new economy. Yeah, it's the new pathway. Find ways to make money out of it.
Wow.
Find ways to make money when you sleep. Find ways to leverage it.
That's what I got to work on, is to make money in my sleep. All right. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in this week at the Dive Bar. Thank you for our special guest, Dr. Brian Keys Hodges. Oh, Lord. I've known this man, oh, my God, like since before
30.
high school.
30 years.
Wow. So y'all already know I'm 40. I'm proud of my age. So that's crazy. So over half of my life, I've known this man, and we used to call him Burger King because of his initials. And I was like, I wonder if no, I'm not gonna call him that.
BK.
I mean, it was right there, y'all. It was right there. And that's hilarious. So we used to literally, and I would have to remind myself, like in front of your parishioners, like I can't call him Burger King. They'll be like, "Don't you disrespect our pastor?" Right. And I understood because I don't like about disrespecting mine. But it was so cool of you to come in tonight. Thank you, guys. So our strive to thrive exercise. There is a young lady on Instagram. It's Baddies and Budget, and she has all these different systems to help you save money, to help you eliminate debt, create different kinds of funds. She does the envelope system, and then she takes it a step further. And I myself am about to start her 52 Friday challenge. So every Friday, you put a certain amount of money in this to save up. She has amazing tools. So I do recommend that you go to her Instagram, check it out, and then purchase something. Figure out, start somewhere. Okay, start somewhere so you can start to have the freedom. Because that's the biggest thing about having financial freedom is the freedom to make choices that you want. You know, a lot of times we have choices, but we're not too fond of the choices. We pick the lesser of two evils instead of choosing the one that we actually want. So that is my goal because I want to live where I want, travel where I want. I tell everybody right now we're in grind mode. When I turn 50, I want all of my businesses to be on automation so I can travel and I can not have to think every single solitary moment of every day about the businesses because they are working themselves. So that is why when y'all call me, I don't answer. I'm always asleep or I'm always working because you gotta hit the goal. So that is our strive to thrive exercise. And remember, you were designed to thrive. Stick to the plan. We will see you here next Thursday at the dive bar talking with Miss Sanjay. And she is going to be talking to us about the importance of skincare and how Black America kind of overlooks certain items. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Talk about the importance of getting facials. If you've never had one, treat yourself. And I'll see you here next Thursday, 9:30 at the dive bar. Peace.